Hey, I know I promised no more calls like this, but I can't put it anywhere else. I don't have anywhere else. You always pick up, you hold the place where I leave my jagged things. You don't ask for receipts. You don't flinch when I come in rough and smelling like regret. You let me be broken here. Do you know what it's like to wake up feeling like an announcement nobody answered? I call you because your voice is the one thing that presses like a bandage over my edges without asking questions. Because you don't laugh when I say the things that feel like shards. Because I'm tired of pretending my edges aren't rough. Do you ever hate me? Do you ever think, not again? Do you ever want to hang up and never pick up? If you did, I would know. I would know I'm beyond repair. I would know I'm finished. I'm sorry I keep using you. I'm sorry I keep pouring my nights into your hands like offerings you didn't request. If you don't pick up this time, if you let this one go, I don't know what I am without that echo. I don't know who I am off the line. Please pick up. You picked up. You always picked up. You have answered enough that their ruin smells familiar to you, like rain on old books. You have answered so many times, you can do it with your eyes closed. But when the phone is for you, when your voice trembles in the dark, who answers? At night they call with blood on their tongue. They shame the world into confession and hand the rough pieces to you. You stitched them with your own veins until you bled out on their behalf. You do it well. You became proud of your seam work. People praised you for holding. They crown you safe like it's holy. But really, it's a cage with velvet bars. They don't see that every time they hand you that word, they are shoving the lock tighter around your ribs. But the coat sits on you until your skin goes numb. You taught yourself to be a satellite, orbiting their crisis, never sending signals of your own. You swallowed your questions because their questions were louder. You rehearsed the voice that soothes and forget the voice that asks. This is not noble. It is not always brave. Sometimes it is cowardice, dressed as kindness. The cowardice of never risking being the one who needed more. Do you ever want to scream? Stop taking my broken things. Because if you did, I would know I'm beyond saving. You flinch now before a ringtone rings. Conditioning becomes panic. You have trained yourself to be the open wound for others. So when someone tries to stitch you, you flinch like it will hurt more. cost is not dramatic at once. It is robbery done with teaspoons, small enough you thank the thief while they empty you. You lose the small things first. The steady rhythm of your breath before it became shallow with listening. The weight of your own footsteps when you stopped walking towards yourself. The taste of sleeping that wasn't interrupted by someone else's ghost. They sleep, thieves in broad daylight, and you notice only when they are gone. You are the person people drop confessions into like coins into a slot, expecting change. They do not owe you a receipt. They do not owe you the curiosity that would return your name to you. They just pull your number when the wind gets sharp. And you, God, you justify it. You cleanse the walk by calling it love. You confuse your bleeding with devotion. If you don't pick up this time, I don't know what will keep me whole. I don't know. You keep that call inside you. It loops. It builds pressure. The pressure becomes rage, shame, then the dull ache that sits like unpaid rent in your body. You imagine the depth of attention would be them finding someone else's voicemail to unload into. Someone softer, someone less heavy to hold. And you think you would dissolve. So you keep answering, even when your hands tremble, even when you've already given everything. You remember the faces that have used you. The brother who calls you at 2 a.m. because he overdosed on his pride and needs your voice to make him human again. The friend who texts when she is breaking with a photograph of an empty bed and the caption, "Help." The guy who calls to confess a cheating that took a decade and thinks your calm will erase his choices. The co-worker who unburdens their office rage and leaves you with the smell of burned coffee and unspent fury. These are not abstractions. They are people with addresses and keys and the very real capacity to choose someone else. They choose you instead. Often because you have made it easy. You rehearse the line you give them, "I'm here," as if the phrase were medicine. But medicine sometimes hides the fracture. You hand it to them and they hold it, and you keep believing that being present is the same as being loved. Someone will clap for you at lunch. "She never leaves anyone," they'll say. And you will accept it like an award, though you paid for it with sleep and appetite, and the small private tenderness you once kept for yourself. There are nights you trace the call like knife marks, tallying the wounds across invisible skin. 1, 2, 3, until superstition convinces you that if you don't answer, someone might die, and their ghost will live in your chest forever. If you answer, maybe the storm will pass. If you don't answer, maybe that person will find a different lifeline. You live in the math between them, in the calculus of availability. This is your labor. Invisible, unpaid, essential only in crisis. Once, someone asked you to come to a funeral at dawn. You stood in borrowed shoes, clutching a sleeve, while a stranger sobbed into your ribs as if your bones were theirs to rattle. Their grief bled through your shirt, staining you with sorrow you never earned, but will never wash out. You pretended the presence was enough. Later, alone, you cried and realized the grief was not yours to carry. It had lodged in you like a bird and would not leave. You have been praised for your reliability until praise became a leash, velvet rope around your neck, yanked tighter every time someone called you safe. People do not see the toll on your hands, how the skin around your nails has frayed, metaphorically, from always holding on. They do not see the way your voice tightens when you try to ask for anything in return. They do not see that you practice asking in the mirror and then decide it's selfish, so you shelve it again. And sometimes you imagine a worst case. What if one morning you simply do not pick up? The world will not end, right? Someone else will answer. Their storm will be caught by another chest. You will not be erased. That is the thing you cannot tell yourself. You are replaceable in the roles that you refused to make sacred. You are irreplaceable in the life you have abandoned. Tell me the truth in the dark. When was the last time someone rocked you like a child? Not for convenience, because you were tired. Not because you were useful. When was the last time someone sat with your mess without making you feel apologetic about it? You have been taught that asking is arrogance. You have been trained that need translates to replacement. So you swallow. You hand out band-aids you didn't make. You resurrect people who were never coming back for you. There is a quiet criminality to it. You steal your own life to prove you are lovable. You sell yourself in small increments for the currency of being needed. And people don't love the person on the receiving end of that sale. They love the commodity. Hear me. If being needed is your badge, what happens when you stop being needed? Who are you then? You are terrified of the answer, so you keep being the landing strip for everyone else's wreckage. You don't stop to check whether you are still breathing. You don't check your own pulse because you've been too busy taking theirs. You keep my jagged things, you keep my pieces, you keep... You can feel the accusation like a palm, hot, flat, unnegotiable. It is not only their voice. Your own inner witness is joining the chorus, and that is what will break you. Who put you on this shelf? Who praised you until you thought praise and suffocation were the same? Maybe it was someone who needed you then. Maybe it helped you survive. Maybe once it felt like oxygen. But oxygen becomes poison when it's all you inhale. You cannot keep being the place people vomit their duck into and then pretend you are not stained. You cannot keep saying it's okay, like a spell, and expect the stain to wash out. There is this hunger inside you that will not be sated by another person's crisis. There is a small place that says, try asking, try saying the words, I'm not okay. Try waiting for the silence to answer you, and hold the silence. If the silence crushes you, then you will know who you are with. When this ends, get to a drawer. Close the door. Lock the world out for 90 seconds. Take one page. Write one line you will not perform for anyone. Not for validation. Not for sympathy. Not for someone else to narrate. One sentence that refuses to be rescued. Write, I exist, even when I do not rescue. Or, I will not be the place others hide their bodies. Or, I choose myself now. Fold it. Bury it in a place you won't share. Let it be untouchable. Keep it like a secret that belongs only to your chest. Do not show it. Do not turn it into a sermon. Do not let it be another thing to do. Let it be a seed under your ribs. You are a diary people scribble into until the pages bleed thin, and when your spine cracks, they toss you aside for a fresher notebook. That is not love. That is consumption. And you, God help you, keep calling it devotion. If you panic at the thought of them leaving, good. Panic proves you are alive. Panic proves you are not a stone. Do not quiet that panic to be lovable. Let it roar. Let it name what it wants. Tonight, when the next call comes, answer once if you must. Then tell the voice on the other end what you have done. That you have a line now, a private line, that you refuse to hand over. Tell them you are not available like a service. Tell them you will show up differently or not at all. If they leave, tell yourself this: they never loved you for you. They loved a version that served them. Let them go. Let them find another voicemail to press. Before you sleep, fold that line again and put it somewhere you will find it by accident. When you do, let it remind you of how you began to choose yourself. and still you're waiting for me to say something softer? I won't.